Hello everyone, welcome back to rcFoamFighters. I'm Paul, and basically this video is going to be on my new Foamfighter 23 version 2. I built this plane about 2 years ago, or maybe even close to 3, but it was sitting on the drawing board for quite a while, and I'm finally getting the time to get back into it. And I actually finally finished the plans for this plane right here, and these are available on our website now for sale. So if you'd like to build one of these planes, you can check out our website and pick up the plans. But basically this is going to be a build video for this Foamfighter 23 version 2. So let's get started. Alright guys, here's kind of a quick view of some of the stuff that comes in the plans. It has your basic information. On this sheet it shows your CG and stuff like that, and your elevator, aileron throws, and some other information like that. That's all included in the plans. And basically the plans, you can either use the tiled format, they're both included in the same plan, or in the very back of the plan set there's actually full-size sheets that you can take to a copier like Kinko's or whatever and have them print out on 30 by 42 inch size sheets of paper, and that way you don't have to glue it together. If you are going to be doing the tiled sheets, here's an example of a tiled sheet. Basically what you're going to want to do is, what I usually do is I cut along this bottom blue line and the right side, and then just piece them all together and tape them together. So basically when they're done, you'll come out with a layout that looks like that. So let's get started. I've got a set of the big sheets. I didn't use the tiled sheets, so that'll make it a little easier. I'll get it set up on the foam board and we'll start cutting. Alright everyone, I got all the plans taped down to the foam board. Basically I'm using Dollar Tree foam board. It measures 20 inches by 30 inches. This plane is fairly large, that's why I use so much foam board. But anyway, before you start cutting it out, you should go through and review all the bevel notes and cutting notes that are throughout the plan, so you kind of get familiarized with it and know where you got to do the bevel cuts and regular straight through cuts all the way through. Okay guys, I'm starting to get a lot of the parts cut out, and we'll start going over the individual pieces on what you need to do. First off, let's tackle the KF airfoil part of the main wing. I've got the basic piece cut out. So first what you're going to want to do is cut out the slots on one side of the foam. Just cut through the top piece of paper on the foam board, and then dig out the foam to make little slots. And then after you get those 4 cut in, what you're going to want to do is flip over the main wing piece and put the template on the other side, and that's when we're going to want to start cutting this double bevel line where the KF airfoil is going to fold. Okay, so basically you're going to want these notches so they're on the outside of the wing after it's folded. So let me get these cut out and then I'll show you what I'm talking about. Alright guys, I got the double 45-degree bevel cut, and what you want to do is you want to fold it over so it puts kind of a nice fold line in this main wing. With the double 45, it doesn't completely fold over super easy. So what I usually do is I'll take a pen now and I'll just kind of mush down the edges of this 45-degree bevel on both sides, and that'll give enough play in the fold area so that it should fold down all the way so it's flat onto this back surface. Alright everyone, here's basically a quick view with both sides of the airfoil folded over. It's pretty much like folding a paper airplane. If you cut it nice and even and pretty accurately, it should fold where the ends meet up nice and close, so you should have a straight line across the back, because the other piece of the main wing will be gluing on right where this overlap is. So let me glue down these 2 sides here. I'm going to be using some 5-minute epoxy. Just spread it on real thin underneath this fold piece, and then you're probably going to want to put something nice and flat with a little bit of weight on top of it to hold it down while the glue dries. Alright guys, I put some epoxy down between the top and bottom of these fold cuts, and basically I've got weight with the piece of wood on there to hold it down. So let's let it dry and then we'll move on to the next part. Alright guys, next up I'm working on the rear portion of the main wing that also has the vertical stabilizers that fold up. Basically I cut it all out, cut out the prop slot, and as you can notice there's a bunch of little slots on here. If you print them out in color, they'll be red and blue. The red ones should be cut on the top side and the blue ones should be cut on the bottom side. Also on the final plans I did write top and bottom in each of the squares, so it should be easier for you guys to tell which side you need to cut out. Alright everyone, I've got all the slots cut into the rearward section of the main wing. There's slots cut on the top side and also on the bottom side of this main wing portion, the rearward portion of the main wing. Now that that's completed, I'm not going to angle up the tail fins yet. We'll leave them like they are. It'll be easier to work around. We'll do that a little bit later. But now the wing is ready to glue together with the front portion. And basically, you just glue it so this overlaps. You line up both wings. And on the overlap section, you're just going to probably use some more 5-minute epoxy just to glue it together. Alright, I applied the 5-minute epoxy under the overlap area. And now I got weights again on it to press it down, make sure it's nice and secure. And we'll let the epoxy dry. And after that's done, we'll be ready to move on to the next part. Alright everyone, the epoxy is now dry and the front and back piece of the main wing are now glued together and nice and secure. I flipped it back over. This is the bottom side, basically facing up now. And I'm coming back to cut out the bevels for the control surfaces. So you're going to do that on each of the ailerons and also on the back of the elevator. Alright, also one other note while you got the main wing flipped over. If you can see, there's a little bit of an edge here that doesn't really totally match up since the front leading edge of the main wing is nice and rounded. And then where this overlap piece meets up, it's kind of squared off. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use my 45-degree bevel cutter, and I'm just going to cut right off that edge there and then make it, somewhat meet up to that nice rounded edge so you don't have a kind of a squared off edge on the main wing. Alright everyone, next up we're going to go over the lower fuselage piece. Basically I already got it all cut out and all the slots and bevels already cut into it. This one requires a double 45-degree bevel cut up the main folds here. This is where the sides are going to fold up, and that'll allow it to easily fold. There's one on both sides and all the way up to the nose. Then around all the edges there's a single 45-degree bevel you need to cut, basically all the way around there and all on the insides of the nose cuts. And on the plans these fold lines are shown as just a red dashed line. Usually I cut out a very tiny slot of the foam board on the inside layer here so it'll fold easy. That'll make it, kind of create some nice crease lines so when you're getting ready to fold, they'll fold nice and easy. After you get all those bevel cuts and everything cut out on the lower fuselage piece, you get ready to install the bulkhead pieces. On the plans they're all numbered. The number 3 bulkhead basically is going to glue in like this. Number 6 will basically go in right in front of that other bulkhead piece and it'll butt up against it. And then 5 goes roughly about here. You want it so when it's installed it's going to come and basically it's going to butt up against the front of the main wing on the inside of the fuselage. So you might want to kind of just do a rough test fit of where the main wing is going to line up when you install it on the bottom, and then glue that one in. Bulkhead number 4, that's going to go right in front of this line on the nose piece. Oh, one other real quick note about the lower fuselage piece. This cut here is actually cut all the way through. Basically that's kind of in the middle of the lower fuselage piece. That'll allow it to flex kind of freely when you're doing these folds, because as you can see there's a bit of a bend there. And basically when you glue it together you'll just put another bead of hot glue down that after you get it in the right angle, and that'll help hold it together. Alright everyone, here's a quick view of the lower fuselage. Everything's now glued in place. So as you can see it's taking a nice shape. So basically what you want to do next is just kind of do a test fit. Make sure it fits in all the slots on the bottom side of the main wing before you start to glue it in. So basically I'm just going to check, make sure everything fits and lined up good. Looks like everything fits fairly well. On these edges here you want to make sure you have a 45-degree bevel cut on there so it'll fit nice and snug up against the main wing. Alright everyone, the lower fuselage is now glued to the main wing, and after you get it on there, don't forget to run a bead of hot glue basically where the front of the main wing butts up against the bulkhead here. That'll make it a little bit stronger. Alright guys, the next step we're going to glue bulkhead 1 and 2 in place. Basically these get vertically put into these slots like this. You have one on each side, and these are going to form the area where the wooden motor mount is going to slip into the plane. Alright everyone, I got bulkheads 1 and 2 glued in place. Basically after that, you're going to want to move on to making the belly pan piece. Basically this piece, just cut it out like it shows on the templates. Then you cut the double 45-degree bevel lines on the two outside edges so it folds up nice and easy. Cut out all the slots, and towards the front of it, it's got some little slot lines you want to cut out. Those are basically the fold lines, because that's going to be kind of a double fold that looks like that once you glue it up to the fuselage. So after you get that all nicely done, also cut out a single 45-degree bevel along the edges here. That'll make it meet up to the bottom of the main wing a lot more flushly and glue up nicely. After you get everything cut like that, just kind of put that to the side. Then we're going to get started on making the wooden motor mount. Alright everyone, I got the 4 pieces of the motor mount cut out. I've used the 3/32 thick basswood or basswood or whatever you want to call it. Basically, what you want to do is cut these 2 main pieces out so the grain of the wood is going in opposing directions. So on this piece the grain is going this way, on that piece it's going up and down. And you're going to glue these 2 on top of each other, so that'll make it stronger, kind of like a sheet of plywood. So that'll be the main part of the motor mount, and then the 2 sides will basically glue onto it. What I'm going to do, I'm going to glue these 2 together first. Then after that I'm going to size up the holes to the motor mount that I'm going to be using. Always check the holes before you drill them to the actual motor you're going to use, so you have the correct hole spacing. Make sure you get it as centered as possible. And after you get some holes drilled in there, I'm going to be using some blind nuts. Basically 4 of them. I'm going to be using 440 size, and those will be pressed into the back side of this main piece of the motor mount. And after we get that all together, then I'll glue on the sides. Alright everyone, I got the motor mount fully assembled. I've got all the blind nuts in the back side of it, and as you can see it's all glued together or epoxied together. But after you get it fully finished, basically it's just going to be hot glued into the back of the plane. Make sure you have, see how this side has a little tab side that I guess that kind of hangs out a little bit? That's going to go towards the top of the plane. And you're just going to want to hot glue it in here so it's basically nice and even with the ends of these 2 bulkheads. And make sure this area here is nice and flush with the foam board, so later on when you glue on the belly pan, everything will go together nice and easily. Alright everyone, I got the completed motor mount all glued into the plane now. And what I did is I just put the belly pan on for a test fit right now, just to see how everything's lining up. And it looks like everything's good. We're not going to glue it on yet, because we're going to come back and put some of the electronics in. And it'll be easier to do if we do that before we glue on the bottom of the belly pan. Alright everyone, here's a quick look at the upper fuselage piece. It's all cut out. Now I already put all the bevel cuts in. This one, it's a little time consuming. You want to go through and you need to put a 45-degree bevel pretty much all along the whole perimeter and throughout the inner grooves here. Do a single 45-degree bevel, so that'll make it fold up nice and meet up better when you do the folds. And again, this one has a bunch of the crease lines. I just cut out a real tiny slot where all the crease lines were on the plan. Once you get that all done and prepped and got all your 45-degree bevels good, then you'll get ready to hot glue it and basically into shape. So you'll have bulkhead 8 and bulkhead 7 that'll help form the upper fuselage. Bulkhead 8 will go towards the rear section of the fuselage right before this line, and basically it's going to be hot glued in here like this, and then the sides folded up to meet the edges. Bulkhead 7 will go up towards the front. This one you'll do after you do 8 and get it kind of formed, and that one will go basically right here in back of this front line. That'll be glued into here, and then again the sides will be all glued up and along all these seams, and you'll glue together to form the nose. Alright everyone, I got the upper fuselage all put together. As you can see, I got bulkhead 8 towards the rear of the fuselage and bulkhead 7 towards the front. That helps hold it all in shape. As you can see, it's taking a nice shape now, and basically that's just going to fit on top of the bottom portion of the plane. Later on we'll just glue it on here, and once we get all the hot glue in there, it should fit down nice and flushly all the way along the seams. Alright everyone, I'm working on 2 motor pods that are going to go on top of the plane. I've got one already cut out and all the bevel cuts cut into it. Basically, this one does require the 45-degree bevel cut all the way around the edges. And again, you're going to cut out a very thin slot out of where the fold lines are. And in the middle, you got the dual 45-degree bevel cuts, and that's going to be the fold points. And then you'll have a bulkhead for each side of the motor pods. That's going to be 9 and 10. Basically, these just glue in the very back right up here, and these basically just cap off the motor pod on the back, and that'll help hold it in shape too. So once you get this glued in, you'll fold up the sides to meet it, and then start shaping the front and glue it all together. Alright everyone, I got the first motor pod all put together. Pretty much it'll fit on the plane like that. As you can see, the bulkhead, it just creates like the cap on the back of it, and that helps hold its shape. It basically just pops into the slots there. And you can see the bulkhead's there, everything's glued together. Basically just going to repeat the same steps and create the one for the other side, and then those will both be done.